So we've got this batch of Shangtai. So it's not very good material, it's quite weak, but it's the kind of material that can make a good black tea. So this one has been oxidizing for about 3 hours now, and I think it's about time to get it dry. Now the problem is upstairs in the drying house we already have the gushu drying, and I still want to get this tea dry. And we don't have an oven, we cannot make the classic Yunnan black. So here is an alternative technique that we can use. Let's see that. Yeah. Okay, let's take the tea. Last year I would put the tea to dry directly in the wok, but now the wok is a bit hot, and since I tried that last year I want to use an alternative technique. So okay, so we've got that residual heat because I just cooked a batch of pu'er tea before. Now how do we use it? So if you put it directly, you will get a heavy roasting, well, or you'll have to move it quite a lot to avoid that. So now the solution I found this year is using the bamboo mat. Have a look. I just add something on top like this, and I just spread my black tea. So I try to spread it quite thinly. The radiative heat from the wok will heat up the bamboo, and bamboo can get quite hot without catching on fire, so that's quite handy for our purpose. So I will try not to put too much tea on top, but still I want this drying to get going because we have 2 batches of tea to dry that way. And so I think I can just do that. We will let it heat up. Now the problem is, if it's, I would like to cover it. And you know what, last time what I saw is that there's quite some smoke sometimes coming out of my fire. Here we don't see it very well with the day, but I need to reuse that smoke because I thought it would be fun to have the tea that's both lightly roasted and smoked. So with the smoke coming out of my wok, I need to cover it with something like this to keep this thing warming up while still letting room for the water to evaporate. Okay, this is not like airproof or waterproof, but I want the smoke. And so I thought, how can I guide the smoke that's coming out of here into the leaves? And so what I found, I needed to find a simple solution, okay? And what I found is I can put 2 flat bamboo baskets like this, okay? So this bamboo basket, if oriented at an angle, will capture the smoke that's coming out of the oven. The smoke will be guided through the leaves, and I have another flat bamboo basket to hold everything in place, and if I don't touch it, it shouldn't collapse. And we're going to leave that going for maybe half an hour and see what happens to the leaves. So about half an hour has passed. Let's check this setup. Okay, so it's not so good. I think it's not hot enough, really. Maybe I'll just need to turn up the fire because it's really not hot enough. And okay, so I can feel like some of the leaves are getting dry. The leaves are dry, are wet. The leaves above are wet and moist, but the ones touching the bamboo are dry. The bamboo is quite hot actually, so maybe I will just need to adjust a bit the thickness. Maybe this is just too thick. I will just redistribute them like this and see if we can get a better drying. But I think I won't be able to get them completely dry that way, but it's no problem. I think I can just finish them with the sun drying. I would like to have a light roast taste, so I need to check how far I push it with the with the roasting like this. Huh? Okay, let's give it another 20 minutes and see what happens. I will turn up the fire. So let's just add a bit of wood. Anyway, theoretically, the heat can only escape, can mainly escape through the bamboo, through the bamboo mat. So it should be linear according to how much wood I add, how much flames there are. But again, I don't want to over roast this tea, so I will need to stay close to the wok. And you can see now I've got more smoke. So this is also what I want, and because I really want to give this tea a smoky edge. So some wood is smoking more than others. I will take advantage of that, and you can see now that I am guiding the smoke through the bamboo baskets. Okay, it's just been 10 minutes, but now that the fire is quite big, I'm a bit scared for the tea, so I think that should be enough actually. Now it's clearly hotter, and the leaves are quite dry to the touch. Of course they are far from dry, but I think that will be enough to, and we'll finish them by sun drying. Otherwise I'm afraid they might be too roasted. I think that will be enough to get a slight smell of roasting and smoking. So I will just finish these batches like this. I will try to just lay a single layer on this bamboo basket so that I make sure that it's by conduction that the heat is transmitted and not by convection. But still, I need to go forward with I need to move forward because there's another batch which is still oxidizing, so I need to make the drying process a bit faster. Let's cover it again. So this is the last batch I'm doing now because I have too many leaves to process tonight. I need to get going with the shading because the pickers came with a lot of leaves. So I will put the rest to dry, to be sun dried actually tomorrow. This last batch I left for a bit more time, a bit longer, and so it's drier. But actually, completely drying it like this, you're at a risk of completely killing the flavor, and then you get a very stale tea, which is charcoal basically. So you want to avoid that. So yeah, I'll need to make sure that there's the right time and a temperature couple next time I do this kind of experiment. I'm going to put that to dry, and we will check when it's dry. We'll check the taste. So in the second day in the afternoon, our tea has dried. You can see we've made a bit of black tea. I had to interrupt that experimental processing yesterday because I was busy. I had too much tea and it was taking too much time to dry, and the tea farmers kept bringing leaves back in the factory. So in the end I decided to stop processing this experimental tea and just process red and pu'er tea, a couple of batches, and then we just switched to regular pu'er tea, which is drying now. I worked until 2 in the morning, so we can try this tea. Let's go, let's have a taste. So there's one thing I want to check with this tea, and it's the level of roasting, because I'm basically comparing the direct wok drying with drying it over the bamboo, the bamboo basket. Bamboo basket should be maybe less hot than the metal of the wok. So we should expect a lower level of roasting. I was quite happy with the tea that I made last year, but let's see if we can get something even better now. We see a lot of foam, so that's always a good sign, even though we used the Shengtai material from the lower slopes. It doesn't look too bad. And first test is the smell. So it's just off the drying mats. The leaves are very dark. It smells interesting, but not really very powerful. Maybe you can check the leaves a bit. So they are quite dark, which indicates quite a lot of roasting. So did I roast them too much? Actually, when I was drying them yesterday, I felt like they weren't drying too much, but maybe they were actually heating up. And let's see. So now, after the smell test, we need to try the Kogan, the mouthfeel and stuff. So this is really just an experiment. Let's see if it can lead to a satisfying tea. So the smell is very subdued actually. There is not much smell, unfortunately. Even in the Beidixing at the bottom of the glass, it's quite subtle. Subtle but interesting. Now it's also due to the fact that it hasn't aged. It was still sun-dried, so kind of shocked by the sun radiations. So you can expect the flavors to be a bit toned down. Maybe if we let it rest for a couple of days, the fragrance will appear. That's also a possibility. Let me just try this now. So there is some bitterness which can appear due to the roasting. It's interesting because roasting is a huge trade-off you're doing. You're trading some mouthfeel, some viscosity for a higher pitched and more complex fragrance. And if you do it too much, you can even create some bitterness. You're also typically toning down astringency and sourness. You're making the soup very clear. You can see it's crystal clear, this one. So honestly, I just get bitterness, quite a decent mouthfeel actually. It feels very warming. I can see myself drink that on a cold winter, you know, but it lacks a bit of dynamics, of complexity. It's a very simple tea for now. So what can I do? I could use better material to make this tea. I could tone down the roasting. I could adjust the oxidation parameters. This was pretty low oxidation. Now the problem is, since it takes a long time to dry, how can I manage the oxidation? When I will start drying, it will be a low oxidation, and as I keep drying, since it takes hours, the tea is oxidizing in the meanwhile. So maybe it's not the right approach. Maybe I should just make a conventional sun-dried tea and then roast it. Maybe roast it when the leaves are dry on the wok. That way they will have a more homogeneous oxidation time, and maybe I'll be able to better fine-tune the level of roasting that I want. Because since they are wet, I have a hard time feeling how much roast they are getting when in the bamboo baskets. You can see the leaves are of different colors, so it could be because they have different levels of oxidation. The tea leaves tend to be a bit wrinkled when they are roasted. This is very prevalent in Taiwanese roasted teas. They have wrinkles. Here not so much, so I think the level of roasting should be fine, but I don't really feel it, so I will wait for a couple of days and try again, and I will try to adjust this method. But you know, it's always okay to do an experiment that doesn't turn out good, that teaches us as much or even more than the experiments which succeed. So I will keep drinking this tea, analyzing and thinking about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye bye.